everyone. My name is Zoe Lai.
And hello, my name is Michael Chow.
You all know that the best way to get in shape is through diet and exercise, but how do you exercise the things that you can't see, like your brain? Do you just take it out and make it go on a jog? Of course not. By exercising your body, you're actually exercising your brain. And this brings me to our topic. Today we'll be going over the brain-changing benefits of exercise. To start off, let's go over brain anatomy. The brain is one of the largest and most complex organs in the human body. There are over 7 trillion nerves, and they communicate through synapses. Moving forward, the key areas that I'll be elaborating on throughout this presentation include the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus. The prefrontal cortex is located behind the forehead, and it's critical in decision-making, focus, attention, and your personality. The hippocampus is embedded deep within the temporal lobe, and this is important in forming and retaining long-term memories and events. This brings me to the first benefit of exercise. Number 1, you'll have better mood and energy levels. Exercise increases the levels of neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, and oxytocin. Just to explain a few, dopamine is the hormone that is released through pleasurable activities, and serotonin modulates mood, so you can understand how an increase in serotonin would increase mood. Endorphins, on the other hand, interact with receptors to trigger a positive feeling. How? Endorphins act as analgesics, which means they diminish your perception of pain. They also act as sedatives, which are manufactured in your brain, spinal cord, and many other parts of your body, and are released in response to brain chemicals known as neurotransmitters. The term runner's high is often used to refer to the euphoric positive state one experiences when endorphins are released after an exercise. The second benefit is that you'll have improved brain cognition. When a person exercises, their brains are exposed to external stimulants that facilitate neurogenesis, a process that prompts the growth of new nerve cells and blood vessels. This increases the production of neurochemicals like IGF-1, which is known as insulin growth factor, and it decreases insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is when muscles, fat, and liver cells don't respond well to insulin, so they can't easily take up glucose from your blood. It's found in obesity as well as dementia, so that's how you know it's associated with cognitive decline. However, with an increase in IGF, brain growth, differentiation, survival, and repair of the brain, known as neuroplasticity, occurs. In the image, you can see neurons with serotonin and without. The top has more neurons, and because of this, there's improved brain function. Adding on, besides IGF, exercise regulates and maintains BDNF. This is known as brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's a chemical protein that promotes the survival of neurons, and it's known as the brain's fertilizer because it strengthens neurons, and it's our foundation for learning and memorizing. Also, it strengthens your prefrontal cortex, which, as you know now, is responsible for focusing your attention on things. In the illustration, you can see nerve growth factors shown in green is required for neurons to survive, and some neurons, which is shown in blue, may take up a disproportionate share of survival factors, leading to the eventual death of neighboring neurons, which is demonstrated in red. These dead nerve cells can be found in Huntington's disease, which is also known for having an absence in BDNF. Over here, you can see the effect exercise has on neurodevelopment over the course of 2 months. As you can see, dendrites, which are these like little wormy, branchy lines forming connected to the neurons, they are segments of the neuron that receive stimulation in order for the cell to become active. And there you can see just how much the neurons developed over this extended period of consistent exercising. Finally, the third benefit, long-term memory. The hippocampus, although it is the most susceptible to neurodegenerative diseases, It produces brand new brain cells. These brain cells increase the hippocampus's volume and your long-term memory. In the graph, you can see memory performance increasing as the hippocampus volume increases.
An experiment done by the UT Southern Western Medical Center researched 30 different elderly people with mild cognitive impairment. They split them up into two separate groups. One half would undergo aerobic exercise for a year, and the other half would stretch for a year. They would do this for 25 to 30 minutes a week and 3 times per week. Before the start of the training, they would take an ASL MRI scan, and after, they would take another one. An ASL MRI scan is a brain scan that pictures the cerebral blood flow, which means it measures blood flow in different areas of the brain. Red implies high amounts of cerebral blood flow, and blue implies low amounts of cerebral blood flow. And you can see what those scans look like on the right. So for the results of the project, they found that the aerobic group altogether had a 47% improvement on their memory scores, which is a test to see how bad is your case of dementia and to see even if you have it. While the stretch group found minimal change in their scores, when they examined the ASL MRI scans, they realized there was an increase in cerebral blood flow in the anterior cingulate cortex and hippocampus, which both play important roles in memory function. The aerobic exercise is so important as it helps out people with dementia in processing new information and preserves our white matter, which are vital nerve cells that transport information from the gray matter. Without this, you can't take and store new information, and as it would be impossible. Exercise has also been shown to reduce stress and anxiety. Depression and anxiety have been diagnosed as depleted glutamate and GABA. As glutamate and GABA work together to control the level of excitation, when you exercise it, it opens the metabolic pathway, which replenishes your amount of glutamate and GABA. Chemical messaging sends signals between nerve cells and younger neurons, and younger neurons are known to fire easily when confronted with minor stressors, which as a result creates more stress. Exercise increases GABA neurotransmitters, which prevent these neurons from firing as easily. And on the image on the right, you can see the percent change in glutamate and GABA from pre-exercises. In graph A, they exercised for around 8 to 17 minutes, and they measured the change in the primary visual cortex. And if you look at it, you can see between the time scans, they increased drastically, and after the workout, they would slowly decrease the amount of glutamate and GABA they had. And in picture 2, they did the same thing, but they measured instead 2 parts of the brain. If you look at the 20-minute mark, you can see that glutamate and GABA were at very high levels, and they slowly started to decrease as they started to cool down more and work out less. Exercise has also been shown to remove brain fog and create better habits. It increases levels of neurotransmitters, which causes hyperstimulation. Hyperstimulation causes faster reactions for at least 2 hours. And exercise has also been shown to improve sleep and mood, which reduces stress and anxiety. Brain fog is an experience of a degree of cognitive impairment, which means it's harder to think, you have bad memory, you become more anxious. And that's just one of the many different problems.
To summarize, exercise activates brain metabolism, which replenishes neurotransmitters. This means that there's a significant increase in your ability to process visuals and maintain better brain function and control your emotions. It also lowers your anxiety and stress by reducing cortisol and adrenaline, which are stress hormones, but it increases the amount of neurotransmitters like serotonin and norepinephrine, which accelerate brain processing and enhance mood. This is especially helpful in patients who typically have more side effects from taking antidepressant medications, and they just want the same benefits that medication has for them without having the side effects. Finally, think of the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex as a muscle. They're the two most susceptible to neurodegenerative diseases and cognitive decline in aging. Now, I won't say it'll completely prevent or cure brain diseases like Alzheimer's or dementia, but it'll take a much, much longer time for the disease to have an effect on you. Now, with this, I hope you learned all the benefits that exercise has on the brain. This is our works cited, and I hope you guys learned something. Go out and exercise. Think of your brain while you're at it. Goodbye.